Hey guys, welcome to a new movie review. Today I'm going to be talking about the new comedy film Long Shot. This film is directed by Jonathan Levine, who directed two films I've really enjoyed over the years called Warm Bodies and 50-50. He's also made a couple of clunkers, unfortunately. One of them was The Night Before with Seth Rogen, and I think the other one he worked on that really didn't turn out so well was called Snatched with Goldie Hawn and Amy Schumer, which I think a lot of people really didn't care for when that came out. So he's made some good ones and some bad ones, but I was kind of excited for this new film, Long Shot, which I'm reviewing for you today. There was the concept of this guy who used to be babysat by this girl he really liked. They kind of had a thing for like one day, and it kind of never happened again. And they separated and didn't see each other for a long time, and then they just kind of went their separate ways. But so I was intrigued kind of by that part of it, and kind of them reuniting and things like that. So in this overall movie, you guys, of Long Shot, pretty much for the synopsis of the movie is this journalist played by Seth Rogen is struggling. He is this company he works for is being bought out by somebody who's very big on propaganda, and he's really not for that at all. So he's struggling to find work, but he does come across once again his childhood crush, this girl he used to babysit him as a kid, and she's running for president. She's already Secretary of State. She has a lot of good credentials, but she really needs somebody to help her with her speeches and to help her write a lot of more humor into her work. She kind of went over with somebody who studies in public appearance strategies, and there's things about kind of the way she presents herself and presents information that she needs to work on. And one of the things she needed to work on was having a better sense of humor around people. So she hires Seth Rogen's character, Fred Flarsky, I think his name was, and he basically helps write stuff for her and tries to make more humor happen within her campaigning and stuff like that when she's running for president. And I think this film actually does take place in 2020, so it's like 1 year from now that this film takes place in. So in a couple of years, this basically is going to be an irrelevant, a film that's not going to be relevant at all, since 2020 will be come and go pretty quickly at this point in time. Um, so she's running for president, and there's kind of this romance sparking again between the two of them, since they had that little romance spark back when they were younger. And so, there's problems with that. There's problems with, how are the people going to view you and this man in this relationship, this journalist that's kind of doesn't dress very well and has a very crude sense of humor, and you're trying to be, beautiful and nice and have good ideas and stuff like that. So that's something that the film Long Shot plays around with quite a bit. So over the course of the film, the two of them have to figure out if they can really pursue this relationship together, if she really wants to run for president, if she is running for president and has Fred Flarsky, how is that going to incorporate to everything? So all this stuff happens over the course of the film Long Shot. So overall, guys, unfortunately, I was very disappointed by this movie. There's things about the concept that were potentially interesting, were missed opportunities, but for the most part, this really is not a very good film. There's just things about it I really didn't like, and I'm going to go over that here in my positives and negatives. It's really a film where I really kind of almost struggle to give it compliments. There's just a lot of things that go wrong here. I really don't understand the positive reviews that it keeps getting and getting and getting from Rotten Tomatoes. And even some YouTube reviewers have already praised this film up and down already, and I really don't understand the praise. It's a very bad film. It really has a very weird, obscure sense of politics. I really would not be shocked at all if the screenwriters of this film knew nothing about politics and kind of just made something up to make this film work, and it really is not a very good movie. So, from my positives and negatives of this movie, Ice Cube's son, O'Shea Jackson, plays Seth Rogen's best friend throughout the movie. They both have journalism backgrounds. And I really liked O'Shea Jackson's character in this. I thought he was very funny. You definitely bought into him being this close friend to Seth Rogen. He kind of made some of the scenes funnier just by showing up and kind of finding ways to make the material work and things like that. So this man has a very bright future ahead of him. I would even say he's probably a better actor than Ice Cube himself. I know he's going to be in Godzilla King of the Monsters coming up in the next couple of weeks, so hopefully he'll be good in that. And I think he has another couple of other films lined up as well. So O'Shea Jackson, he did a great job in this movie. This film was totally not his fault. He really did bring his A game to this movie. He really tried to make the material better in the scenes that he's in, and I thought he was a great job as this believable friend of Seth Rogen that really made every scene funnier that he showed up in. There's also some cute moments every once in a while, just every once in a while, though. I would say Unfortunately, a lot of the good jokes are given away in the trailers. So if you have not seen the trailers and still want to see this film, that'd probably be your best bet. Base it on concept if you really do want to see this film for whatever reason. Unfortunately, like I said, though, a lot of the better jokes are given away in the trailers. So it wasn't very funny by the time I went to the theater and saw the movie, just because most of the funnier parts were already shown in the trailers. So, one I can tell you just because it's in the trailers, and I think everybody knows about this joke already, is like I said, Seth Rogen's character is really not dressed very well. He's very not professional with some of the things that he does with his character. And so they try to find these dress clothes for him at this big event where they're campaigning for her, his love interest to be this president. And they kind of put him in like this Captain Crunch, Swedish pirate kind of looking outfit just because it's like classical and it's a part of this place that they're having this event in and stuff. So I thought it was kind of funny. I thought the jokes they used for that scene were kind of funny for that. There's a couple of other cute moments every here and there that are kind of fun, I guess. But there is cute moments in this film. Unfortunately, there's just not a lot of them. I thought that babysitter romance concept was pretty fun. They kind of explore it really for just one scene, and then they just kind of bring it up every once in a while in other scenes with conversation. And I kind of wish that that was this movie. I wish that the whole journalists helping a girl run for president that he used to have a crush on. I wish that part was either kind of the backdrop or kind of the after events of what the real film could have been. I thought the scenes where it's Flarsky as a kid and that girl that's running for president babysitting him, like that really small bit they show in the film, I thought was better than the film itself, and that really should have been the film. So I thought that babysitter concept part was pretty clever for that part of the movie. Fortunately, the rest of the movie really isn't that good, though. And I thought the film's ideas on elements of public appearance strategies was pretty neat and effective and kind of interesting when they went over that. It's very early on in the film. They really don't go back to it very often, but when they do go over it and kind of help Charlize Theron's character find ways to make interesting public appearances and how to like maintain a good image and everything, I thought that part was kind of interesting. So if they really wanted to go the politics route, I wanted more of that just because it's more interesting, and I feel like people who aren't really involved in politics would be interested in that too. So I thought that aspect of the film was interesting. Now for my negatives. I have a lot of them here. In fact, I have like a whole list of them here on my sheet of paper that I'm following. For my number one negative, well, it's not my number one negative, but it's a really bad negative I have for the movie. No one really necessarily. I mean, they have jobs in this movie, these characters, but it really could be anything. But how the film plays out. Yes, Charlize Theron's character is running for president. She's Secretary of State, but there's not really a lot of scenes here where that's very present. It's just kind of the occupation / job they assign her character with, and she happens to be running for president. It's just one of those films where this character happens to be this career, this person happens to have that career, this person happens to have this career, this person happens to have that career, and it's never really present because there's so many scenes where there's parties and public events and things like that. It's never really set in motion as to what these characters are. For all that I really know, that Seth Rogen's character just could have been this guy that did a couple of blogs every once in a while and label him as a journalist, and that's how they assigned the journalism job to him. So no one really officially had a job necessarily in this movie. They just the jobs that they happen to bring up in conversation and things like that. I also didn't like how people felt like wild animals in this film. There's just so many scenes where people just aren't people. They're just people that are just having sex and doing horrible things and are running for politics and are in politics and are doing these awful things that they would never get away with if they were in these real positions. And I felt like I wasn't watching people. It just really got to me after a while. It got really annoying. I didn't like how people felt like wild animals in this movie. The politics also feel very fake and non-existent in this film. There's just so many scenes where they try to cover a political issue that just does not exist, or it exists in the context of this film, and they resolve it with Instagram posts and social media posts and things that just don't happen. And I didn't buy a single second of the politics in this film. It's so fake, it's so bad, it's so staged. I didn't believe a second of it. Also, this film's really not very funny. It's a comedy film and it's not funny, so that in and of itself is kind of a crime for this genre. This also is a very obnoxious film. I just was never really completely comfortable and had fun with Charlize Theron and Seth Rogen's character together. The film really tries to sell their chemistry in this movie for the trailers and everything. I just really did not get into it. I thought it was kind of obnoxious, and I just really didn't care about either one of them, really. And that goes to my next point. There's just tons of annoying characters here, whether it's Charlize Theron's assistant, or the publicist of Charlize Theron, or any of the other friends outside of O'Shea Jackson for Seth Rogen. There's just so many annoying characters here. I just got fed up with them. I really did not care about any of the characters really here, except O'Shea Jackson's character. And I just really didn't care about anybody else. This film also just kind of came off as unintentionally creepy. I mean, come on, it's this kid who was like 5 years old and this girl who was like 16, and they made out once, and then they didn't really see each other for a long time, and now they're back together, and still there's still that huge age difference, and I don't know. I thought it was kind of creepy, and I'm sure that's not what they were aiming for with the little romance thing that they had going on in the movie, and just I thought it was kind of creepy, and I really couldn't get into it. Also, I don't know if they were trying to cover Donald Trump's belief of fake news, or if it just was depicted really badly, but there's scenes in here that are supposed to be about fake news, I guess. And there's just so many scenes where it's just like, no news station in the world would ever do that. No news station in the world would ever give such a horrible nickname like that. No news station in the world would ever throw a mug at somebody's head and get away with it and keep their job and stuff like that. It's just like, there's so many things in here where it's just like, no news station in the world, no news post in the world would ever do something like that or could get away with that. I couldn't believe some of the stuff I saw in this movie. I just didn't believe a second of it. It felt so staged and bad. So overall, I'm going to give Long Shot a 5 out of 10. It's really not a good film. Besides a couple of highlights like O'Shea Jackson, a couple cute moments, some parts of the concept being kind of interesting but not living up to it, and the elements of about public appearance strategies was kind of interesting for a while, but there's just so many negatives. I can't even go over them, or else the video will be too long. 5 out of 10 for me. Do not see Long Shot. I really did not care for this movie.